Hey, it's Ron Johnson, and this is the Ron Johnson Show. On today's show, we got Charles Johnson going to join us. Former Vikings and Packers receiver, has a lot to say about Adam Thielen and Stefon Diggs. Are they the top receivers in the NFL? Well, let's see what Charles Johnson has to say about that one, because Justin Jefferson, maybe that's not his guy. Diggs was, but we'll see. Also, I got a chance to go to the Twins game. I got the shirt last night. I'll explain what this shirt means and why the Twins probably didn't think it through when they gave us these T-shirts last night. Coming up next on the Ron Johnson Show.
On the field, in the broadcast booth, Ron Johnson is Minnesota sports. One-of-a-kind opinions, big-name guests, the teams you care about every day. It's the Ron Johnson Show, part of Locked On Sports Minnesota, and it starts now.
Welcome to the Ron Johnson Show, and I am your host, Ron Johnson. This is the Locked On Sports Minnesota Podcast Network. And as I stated earlier, I got a T-shirt last night. I love the T-shirts. Like the Wild gave us towels for the playoff game. I went to the Lexus Club seats right behind home plate last night. Had really great seats thanks to two of my clients, great friends as well. But they were like, hey, do you want to go to the game tonight? And I'm like, me and my wife, we had to find stuff to do with our kids, but we were like, sure, let's go. Why not? Impromptu date night. But they gave out these shirts. And it says, if you see it, it says, you decide the legacy you leave. But before I explain what I thought about as soon as I saw this when I got in the car, we're going to have a word from our sponsors.
Yes, we do. Dave, D-A-V-E, gives you a chance to get a little extra cash in your pocket. Gas is expensive. You've got all those drives up north maybe to the cabin. Summer creates a lot of activities, a lot of extra expenses. Dave can help with a little bit of cash if you're in a pinch. Hindsight is 20/20. You can't change the past, but what if you could get a little help from your future self? Borrowing from future you. That's what you do with Dave, a banking app that helps you get up to $500 instantly with extra cash. There's no interest and no credit check needed. Millions of people have already downloaded the Dave app to get financial relief. So if you're in a pinch, need some help, download Dave. Think of it as a helping hand from future you. Download the Dave app from the App Store right now, D-A-V-E. Sign up for an extra cash account and get up to $500 instantly. For terms and conditions, go to dave.com/legal. Instant transfer fees apply. Banking provided by Evolve, member FDIC.
Well, Sam, I got a chance last night to go to the Twins game, as I stated. They won. So first out the gate, let's just see. I went to the Wild game. They won. I went to the Twins game. They won. Not saying I can go to every game, because I can't. I can't go to 162 games. If I could, I'm pretty sure the Twins would be like 110. They'd have 110 wins if I went. I just think my presence, like I was looking at the picture the whole time. I was right behind home plate, so it's kind of cool to watch Buxton and Correa kind of joke around every time the ump visited the mound. It was cool to see the fans get pissed off at strikes and balls, because I thought it just happened at my daughter's softball games, but it happens in the major leagues as well. People were pissed off about some of the calls, like some curve balls that should have been called strikes. They weren't. But this is one thing I say. You decide the legacy you leave. The Twins, I don't know if it was irony or they already had it, because a lot of times in marketing departments, they already have this stuff going. And the shirts were donated by whatever, Treasure Island Casino, I think, or they're maybe the sponsor of the shirt. I don't think they thought it through, because I don't know if I want people to know about our legacy this year just yet. Like, I think they probably came up with this concept when they were up 4.5 games in the division. Now they're down 2 games to the Guardians. So the legacy, like, they're going to decide the legacy. The legacy they might leave this year is absolute meltdown disappointments. But watching them last night, watching the plays, watching the shifts, because my wife had a ton of questions about why are they shifting? Why are they doing this? And because in softball, you don't see it as much because girls can hit the ball everywhere. It's so sporadic. Where in baseball, guys are a little bit more like, yeah, this is where this guy goes 90% of the time. We're all going to shift to the left side of the bag. First base, you stay there. Vice versa. Everybody, we're going to shift to the right. Third, you stay there. It's crazy how it works out, too. And Rocco Baldelli, his staff did a great job last night getting that going. But here's where I go with this legacy thing. If you lose and you don't even make the wild card, like, that legacy is horrid. This is going to go down as one of those meltdown years that, like, 10 years from now, Sam, we're all talking about like the Vikings in the Eagles game in the NFC Championship. Like people are still talking about that. The meltdown or the Philly Folly or whatever they call it, the meltdown in Philadelphia. Like they're going to call this season that. And that's the legacy. Now, you decide the legacy you leave. So maybe the players saw it and they're like, you know what, dude, we still have a chance. Like this, because last night they had control of that game. Like they were down 2-0, and then they came roaring back. Play after play after play. Guys on base, big hits, getting guys home. But that's the thing I got from the shirt, Sam. When I thought about the shirt as I'm walking out the Lexus Club, and I looked, I'm like, you decide the legacy, and this is where we're going tonight. But hey, they got 2 more to the Royals. And Baldelli did a great job of like getting pitchers in and out, making sure they didn't burn out. But now you got the Guardians playing the Tigers. The Tigers did steal one from them. So if they can get 2, if the Tigers can somehow give them 2 more wins and the Twins can win 2 more, we're back in tie. Like it's tied. If not half game up because of how they do this weird, I don't know, I hate the percentage thing. But they be tied at the least. If they lose 2 and the Twins can win 2, Tigers can help them out. Tigers just won. Nobody thought the Tigers would get one, but the Tigers stole some from the Twins. So maybe they can steal some from the Guardians and really just mix this thing back up and they're back in it. And then these shirts matter. The legacy they're leaving is, hey, don't zip the body up yet. We're not dead. We still have a chance. So I'm excited about that to see what happens these next 2 games, because either this shirt's going to mean a lot or this shirt is just another rag that I'm going to end up washing my car with at some point when my kids completely destroy it when the summer is over. Because towards the end of the summer, I don't know what happens with kids in cars, and I'm pretty sure you're not there yet, but it's like a tornado. Like, I don't know. Yeah. They're walking tornadoes. And so keeping the car clean with these girls doesn't work. But again, we have Charles Johnson coming up, but I know there's a mystery Sam has for me between segments 1 and 2. So let's see what that is.
Yeah. Well, speaking of legacy, I'm just going to show a graphic. Matt has it queued up, and I just want you to react to it. So we'll get that fired up. Look at that. Hall of Fame? Are you kidding me? Ron Johnson, the floor is yours. What do you think about this? This is unbelievable.
It's about time. Like, I feel like T.O. Like, it's about time. Like I said, no, like, I understand. Like, even when I talked to Mark Coyle, because I thought it was something like this, but I wasn't sure because I know there's NIL stuff. Mark Coyle and I just talked at the Gophers softball game. So I get an email saying, hey, Mark Coyle wants to talk to you about the future of Gopher sports. So I'm like, all right, cool. And then we get on and he starts with like, in my job, I get to make cool calls like this. And so it felt like NFL Hall of Fame-ish when he said that. And so I was like, oh, okay. And I was actually speechless. Like it shows like all the work I didn't go for nothing. I got drafted in the NFL, yeah, so it did pay off. But it's cool to be recognized, to see it. But not going to lie, like when I saw some of the other guys in previous years going to the Hall of Fame, and I look at their stats, I look at mine, I felt like T.O. I'm like, really? Like, what do I got to do? Like, what do I got to do? And so I forgot about it. But I will say this, man, God is good, because I don't think I would have wanted to be inducted during the COVID era. Like, nobody was going to games. There was no ceremony. Now we get to have a dinner. My family gets to come to town. People can fly in. Friends are going to come to the dinner at TCF Bank Stadium in the Dairy Queen Suite, I think is where it's at. And then we get to go to the Colorado game, my family. Hopefully the Gophers win that one. I'm going to get to do the pregame social. I know they're going to bring that up on the pregame show. But my family and friends get to come to the game as well. And then we're going to walk on the field. So it's cool that it happened. And it's actually 21 years later. And so 21, I mean, if you think about Marion Barber wearing number 21, like I feel like it's one of those things too where, I got to mention all the guys like that. Marion Barber, Saad Abdul-Khalik, Travis Cole, Ben Utek, Ben Hamilton, Karan Riley, Greg White. The list goes on and on and on. But guys where somehow, some way helped me get better and do, Glenn Mason, of course, Joker Phillips. Joker Phillips was the best receiving coach I had. I was sad when he left and went to Notre Dame, but I got it. But, that to me is what I relish the most with the teammates. I saw the Big Ten Network today posted a video of the Ohio State game when I played. So, or a clip from the Ohio State game. So, just seeing all that, it's like, man, you sometimes you forget because you're so caught up in your own world of your kids and life and the podcasts and TV and radio. So it's always good to kind of remember that stuff because it was a great time. Definitely blessed. Not for the University of Minnesota, would have never met my wife. Honestly, like I know I worked harder when I was in college too because I wanted to impress her. So I think that was part of it. Like I went to because the track team practiced outside of where football practiced, so I would actually go over to by the track and do extra routes with every DB just so I can bully them, get better. But then, all the track girls are watching us do it. So, yeah, I got to thank everybody for part of that, man. Mike Lehan, Jared Ellerson, who came in as a freshman, who was in our room. And so I'm a teacher. So, yeah, so it was a huge honor, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, congratulations. It's super cool
to
see. And, honored to be connected with you adjacently through this show and to kind of see you get to react to it. That's pretty fun. So I know we got to get to Charles Johnson, but I just wanted to give you that moment to talk about it.
Well, here's the segment, Hanging with Ron Johnson. We got my boy Charles Johnson in the building. No relation, but, when he played for the Vikings, of course, it felt like a little brother. I enjoyed watching him play. I enjoyed covering him. Just realized when we did our first show on Sunday, this was year 8. So Charles, Stefon Diggs, a lot of those guys were on the team when we first got going when US Bank Stadium opened. So it was kind of a refresher. But as training camp gets going, preseason games get going, Packers have a young receiver in the build by the name of Romeo Doubs. I figure, you know what? I got to get Charles back on the line. Charles, man, appreciate you joining me. Jumping out the gate, Romeo Doubs, Packers receiver. With a receiver like that, making plays, constantly coming up in the quarterback's mouth on the media side when they're interviewing him, saying his kid's making plays. What is a receiver like that? From Nevada. Not to say he's not from one of the Power Fives, but again, it's like what's his name, Burleson. Nate Burleson came from the same school. So what does a receiver like that have to do to solidify himself on an NFL roster?
Yeah, man. I mean, him being from a small school, I really don't play that into a factor, man. I mean, football is football. No matter where you play it, you got to still go out there and perform. It's good that his name is being brought up. He just got to go out there, continue to make plays, continue to be himself, and play this game at a high level. It's a kid's game at the end of the day. So, I mean, I was drafted to Green Bay as well, so I know those guys. They love their receivers, and they're going to build those receivers up. That's how they do things in Green Bay. So I think he's in good hands. So I'm excited for him, man. He just got to continue to go out there and make strides each and every practice and don't take anything for granted.
Yeah, when you look at receivers, let's stick with the receivers. The Minnesota Vikings are going to have a bigger problem than they thought. When everybody started off, you had Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson. And when I say problem, I mean it's a good thing. But for the team, it's tough. You got Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, KJ Osborne. You now have Amir Smith-Marset. They drafted him out of Iowa. They like him. They also drafted Jalen Nailor out of Michigan State, but we haven't seen a lot from him yet. And then Albert Wilson comes out of nowhere and has 2 catches for 2 touchdowns in the first preseason game. And he's a free agent they picked up. And so a lot of times you like to try to see, is this free agent we picked up worth keeping, or should we go with our younger guys? And then they still have BC Johnson, who they drafted from last year, which gives them 6 receivers. And as you know, carrying 6 receivers is tough with the number of running backs and tight ends now the teams carry. For a guy like BC Johnson on the bubble, Albert Wilson came out the gate, had a great first game. Nobody's talking about BC. Again, a Johnson. So, one of our brothers. How does he kind of change the narrative? Because this week they're going to scrimmage the 49ers all week. They're going to practice against them all week. How does he change that narrative to kind of put himself back in front of Albert Wilson?
Man, I mean, BC Johnson, he made a ton of plays last year. I remember seeing his name, hearing his name a lot last year. And I was like, man, who is this kid? I like him. He's a Johnson, so I gotta check into him. And I think another thing that's huge for him that will be special teams play. If he can go out there and rock it on special teams in the return game, kickoff, punt game, special teams, if any receiver can be valuable in a special teams game, the roster spot's going to be solidified because special teams coach is going to fight for them. So I would say he would have to go out there, continue to make the plays and the strides and build off the strides that he started last year, and then develop a special teams game. So now his special teams coach is looking to him to go out there and make plays as well in that area.
Yeah, and that was his rookie year. Yeah, as a rookie, Adam Thielen got hurt. He got to play a lot. And then Justin Jefferson overshadowed him a little bit when he came in. So it's one of those things where it's tough sometimes to get it figured out when you have so many different factors within your game. Now he's gonna have to earn, like you said, special teams. I've said that a ton. Like even with the running backs, possibly carrying 4 running backs, they're gonna need a special teams guy. Whereas maybe that takes a tight end out of it. But let's go back to your training camp days. Everybody hated the pillow blanket days of training camp because it was like trying to figure out times to go to sleep, trying to get that nervous energy out for the next day. What was kind of your go-to during training camp to kind of just decompress, relax, and just get your mind right for the next day?
I mean, yeah, training camp's always long and the body just breaks down. But I mean, me, Adam Thielen, we used to always hop on we had like Roy McIlroy golf game or something. We used to always get on and kind of and play. We used to just hang out, man. Just spending time with the guys. Those are valuable. But decompressing, we used to play the video game, man. Me and him would hop on the golf game or just FaceTime in the family just to relax. Little things like that kind of decompress you from those stressful times in training camp.
Was that like on the Wii or Xbox? Because I know I played it on the Wii and I loved swinging the actual like Wii on the
No, it wasn't
like
the
that
Wii.
or the Wii.
Yeah, I believe it
Or
was
was it
Xbox.
PlayStation?
We didn't have the Wii.
Okay.
Man. Yeah, it was
Okay.
Xbox.
So is Adam Thielen as good as a video game golfer as he is a golfer in real life?
We used to compete on that golf game. It was fun. So he could show out on the game as well.
So looking at today's football, I've seen your social media. I've seen you working out still. I've seen you doing some dances. The gritty is kind of hot right now. And now this AB, I don't even know what that is. Somebody said that's put your stuff on, put your stuff off. I'm like, I don't know what that is. But what would be your go-to touchdown dance like today in today's football?
Man, I was never a big dancer, man. I kind of felt like I don't know. Sometimes you get to the end zone, you just run around like, "What's up? What's going on?" I would say the gritty's pretty popular right now. If I had
Can you
time to
gritty
think
though?
about it, I think I can gritty a little bit. I can do a little bit. The kids make me do it all the time, with the little TikToks. So I do it, but I would try to find my own little swag or something, man. If I
Okay.
got in the
Okay.
end zone again.
So going back to your playing time in the locker room, when you think about, again, training camp, it's about building rapport with the quarterbacks, but also your receivers. But then you just have the guys you kind of gravitate to. It could be a linebacker from your area. It could be a group of guys like the DBs that love to play cards or joke. Could be the guys that like to take naps on the couch. Like that group of guys becomes a group because they always find that couch and they all seem to just want to just relax and just talk and, and somebody falls asleep. Like you got different groups. What was your locker room group like? Like, what was your dynamic in group?
Man, I mean, our wideouts were so tight back in my day. Like, it was so crazy that sometimes the outsiders that came in, they were kind of thrown at awe at how tight we were and how competitive we were within. And we had a standard for our room, and we went out every day and applied that standard each and every day, each and every play. So, like, you drop a ball, everybody was saying something to you. In film, they were going to say it again. There was a certain standard that we carried ourselves with. Um, as a receiving core, and we were tight on and off the field. I mean, we hung out a lot off the field, but also hung out with the running backs, offensive guys, and stuff as well. But our wide receiver crew there in Minnesota, when I was there, we were really tight, and we all had our different characters, so we all meshed really well, and we all had our different personalities. So it was enjoyable, man. I enjoyed that time and those guys, and we're still friends today.
Yeah, and you brought up TikToks, so I gotta bring it up. You brought up TikToks, and I know social media now is like huge for college players because of the NIL. I just saw Brevin's barbershop with the Gophers now. He's interviewing players in the barbershop, kind of a cool concept. If you look at the one that came out today that everybody's all over is a kid named Dakotas Crawford. His mom literally named him Dakotas. because she said he was going to be the coldest of the kids. I was like, you got to be kidding me. But kid out of Louisiana, was recruited by a couple big schools, but he picked Nebraska. Nebraska seemed like the place for him when you look at the schools that were going after him. But now he has a air conditioning commercial, which I think is a perfect fit. It's the coldest air conditioning commercial. The company's called SOS out of Nebraska. Hilarious. When you think about you, and I'm gonna give you a little bit of time to think. If you were to, in college, pick something that like went with you well, or something like Mo Ibrahim said, Chipotle, because he's like, I want the black card. I want to be able to go every day, 3 times a week. I want to swipe it, and I want to be in there. What would you have done, or like what company would you have wanted to come after you from an NIL standpoint when you were in college?
I mean, it's the easy thing would have been Johnson & Johnson, just something just to play off my name. But man, I'll probably do something around. I'm a big believer in like Tesla, man. I'm big into like the future and being different. So, and I feel like that's what Elon Musk stands for, is being different, changing, and not scared to ruffle some feathers in the process. So, like if Tesla or Elon Musk had something that they could do a sponsorship I'm sure I would be on board for that.
Okay.
I would love
Okay. Yeah, because I know the
travel up the
dealerships,
States.
it goes through the local dealership. So yeah, there was a Tesla dealership, I'm guessing, in your area. There you go. Because there's a kid from Texas, of course, running back, has a Lamborghini deal. Like this kid gets like I'm like, this is crazy. Like, dude pulling up to like 2001 chemistry with a Lamb. You know, he's going to 301 history and a Lamborghini. Like, bro, like, why are you even going to class? You got a Lamb already, but you know, but you know, I get that. So, you know, coming up, we're gonna do the daily 3. But before we jump into that, I got one more for you. If you had to play another sport, I saw this with the Pittsburgh Steelers today. It was kind of funny. If you had to play another sport, like football was not an option, even though you're a great football player, drafted NFL, but then God came down and said, you know what? I want everybody to be challenged because that's when the soil is better. You know that. You erupt the soil, you can get good crops. I want to erupt this soil. Everybody has to pick a second role. So if you're the CEO of a company, you got to go somewhere else. If you're a football player, you got to go somewhere else. Where would you go? Like, what would you do?
Well, I've always prided myself on being a really good athlete. And I've said this a lot, that if we pick like 10 sports, I feel like there's not anybody that can beat me out of 10, right? I will win the most out of 10 sports because I feel like I'm just a better athlete. So I can play basketball, football, golf, ping pong, bowling, whatever you want to do. I feel like I can compete at it. But if I had to pick one, I would say right now to be probably golf. I'm pretty good at golf. As an individual, it's all about me. So right now, I'll probably be golf.
The team of me. I like it. Yeah, a lot of the Steelers players said golf, basketball, and then TJ Watt said hockey, which everybody's like, yeah, because he said basketball first, and the guy standing next to him was like, dude, you suck. And then he was like, hockey. Like, yeah, you probably can play hockey because you can just hit people all day. So, because I was like, can you ice skate?
Yeah, I can ice skate.
Oh, really? Okay, because I can't. I've never been on skates in my life, so I would love to play hockey because it looks like I can get physical and like purposefully knock guys into the wall and fight them, but I can't skate. So, and it just looks like it hurts when you hit the ground, so I'm going to pass on that. But we're going to jump into the daily 3. So we're going to bring my producer, Sam Extra, to the show. There's something new, Charles. We're doing it with the guests now. So it's going to be 3 questions. There's going to be a 3-minute clock. We both are going to get about a minute and a half to answer, but take as long as you need. Sam is jumping in, and here we go with the daily 3.
Charles, before we start, what's your golf handicap?
I am playing at like a 5 right now. My lowest is like a 3.
Oh, wow.
That's really
I
good.
can play a little bit.
I'm jealous. Very jealous.
I just took second place in an event this past weekend, so it was pretty good.
Okay.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
So you are out
the
there.
Live Tour is going to be knocking on your door. First question, Charles. This is how you get people angry in your Twitter mentions, so tread lightly. But if you could name the top 3 receivers in the NFL right now, who would you go with? Now, if you don't want to rank them, if you just want to give 3 names, that's all right. You could obviously rank them too. That would be good, but it's up to you. 3 receivers. Who do you like?
I'm gonna have to go with my boy Diggs for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go ahead and go. Man, I'm gonna go ahead and get my boy Thielen in there. People still sleeping on him, man. I mean, Jay Jett is overshadowing, so I'm gonna go. Jay Jettis is in there too. So it's all three of my guys right there.
So you're going Thielen, Jefferson, Diggs. Wow, that is a hot take. I love it. We gotta get this man on more often. That's great.
Because Sam, what is your top 3, Sam? Who are your top 3 receivers?
Yeah, probably Devontae, Jefferson, and I don't know if I want to go Cup. I probably should go Cup.
That's a tough one. That is a tough one.
Yeah.
This is where I'm gonna go with mine. So I like both those lists. I'm a little bit thrown off. I like Charles's list because that's going to get the Vikings fans going. You got Thielen and Jefferson in his top 3, so I love that. I'm going to go Cooper Kupp. And this is in no particular order. Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, and then I'm struggling between Justin Jefferson and Diggs because those two to me both give you different stuff. So I'm going to go like those 4 are in my top 3.
Yeah.
Like I just can't pick 3, but those 4, I know that's not the rules. Those 4 are my top 3. I'm going Kupp, Devontae Adams, Jefferson, and Diggs. Those 4 to me get it done. I know there's a lot of other names out there, CeeDee Lamb. Everybody's talking about now George Pickens, of course. Now he has one great, preseason game, and George Pickens is a veteran we never knew. So there's a lot to that. And this is what I'll say, Charles. In Vikings history, here's another trick one since we got time on the clock. Vikings history. This is another debate. Randy Moss, Chris Carter, we know are in the top 2. Because Stefon Diggs left. Does Stefon Diggs still jump into that top 3 Vikings of all time? Or does that go to Thielen and then possibly Jefferson?
Yeah, man, the thing with Diggs, man, he was such a great player, but I felt like in Minnesota he couldn't be himself. He didn't have that true I'm the guy role, and that's what he thrives on. So going to Buffalo, he was able to have that. He's still one of the most dynamic, hardworking players I've ever been around. And, I mean, he's going to be remembered as a great Viking. It will taint it a little bit just because he left past that, just because he's a hometown boy and he stayed there with Minnesota.
So my next question ties right into this. You mentioned that Adam Thielen is a top 3 receiver in your mind. So when you met Adam, 2014, I assume, you're both these D2 athletes just trying to make it. Did you know that Adam Thielen, or did you have an instinct that Adam Thielen was going to be a star at that time?
See, that's what's crazy. I tell this story a lot. So when I first came in there, we're both obviously from D2, and me and Adam kind of meshed rather quickly. And we used to just train and work out together after practice. And what's crazy is that my first 2 years in Minnesota, Thielen could barely get a snap on even offense in practice, right? But he always had the same skill sets. It's just he was an undrafted guy, walk-on guy, whatever he was, that he wasn't afforded that opportunity that those guys who were first-rounders or high-paid guys were given those opportunities before him, right? So he had the same skill set, but what I've seen is his determination, and he grinded each and every day. And coming into my 3rd season there, man, he was running with the ones, and he never made a mistake. He was the same athlete all 3 years I was there. We came into that spring of my 3rd season. He never made a mistake on that field, and he went on to do great things and be the guy that he is today.
Yeah, and this is what I'll say to that. I was trying to find the tweet, and I'll have to find it at some point, maybe retweet it again as the season starts, kind of my annual obligatory Adam Thielen, I knew he would be great tweet. I think it was like, because I found the tweet one day, and it had to be like 2015 maybe or 16, and I tweeted out, man, like this, I think I said like this Adam Thielen guy is going to push the crap out of these guys to find a spot on this roster. His spot is special teams, but he reminds me a lot of Eric Decker with his route running and blah, blah. And I kind of just went on about it. And so I retweeted it, I think had to be last year because people are like, oh, I guess you really knew. And it's like, it's not that I knew. I told Eric Decker that when he was a freshman. And you can ask Glenn Mason this. When I saw Eric Decker run routes, I was like, this kid's going to be good. Charles Johnson can attest to this. When we were in US Bank Stadium and I saw Charles Johnson at practice, I came up to him before in the field and said, man, this guy, like, you have a chance to be really good. You just have to get into the quarterback's ear, blah, blah, blah. Like, I can see body types. I can see guys move. I can see, like, how they attack the ball. As a coach, I had to do that with the coach. And so I learned that back in, was that 2009 and 10 and 11, working with Tony Dungy and Clyde Christensen and Peyton Manning. Like, I learned what Peyton was looking for in a receiver. And so I saw that right away. Adam Thielen, I saw it. Now, I didn't know he's going to get his opportunity and be what he is, but I did say this kid has a chance to be really good. And I said he was going to make the team. He just has to find a spot in order to keep growing. And it happened. He's going to be one of the top 3 Vikings, in my opinion, in Vikings history.
I've got one more receivers question for you both. First, I want to remind people this segment brought to you by betonline.net, the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs, find your favorite sports and events, your number one online source for odds, lines, and games. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. And I want both of your best answers on this because you've both been there. You both entered the NFL trying to figure things out as a rookie receiver. What is the most difficult thing to learn when you are a rookie receiver in the NFL making that transition? Ron, let's start with you.
Yeah, so for me, what I'll say is, as a rookie, I was a 4th-round draft pick, so wasn't a guaranteed spot on the team, but I got drafted to a team that only had 2 veteran receivers still on the roster. They drafted 3 rookie receivers that year, myself, Javen Hunter out of Notre Dame, and then not drafted, picked up, and then they picked up another kid. I forgot where he's from. But we were young. We were a young team. We only had Travis Taylor and Brandon Stokely. And so what I learned right away is I had to learn every single position because at 6'3", 230 pounds, I had to play a little bit of H-back. I had to play a little bit of slot. I was definitely the X. And then because of the preseason, I had to learn the Z because I had to, I had to stay in the game most of the game until maybe the 4th quarter when they would let the other rookies go. But I was in the game from the start because I was a 3rd receiver until the 3rd quarter almost because I was in the 2s. And so I would say learning all the positions was probably the hardest for me. And honestly, it took me 2 to 3 years to really grasp it. But my rookie year, I struggled with that. Like when I just had to play slot and play X, I was good. But when I had to learn all that other stuff and where the Z lines up, I struggled. And so I'd say as a rookie receiver, that was the hardest thing, learning all those different, and then the blitz protections. It's so much different in the NFL than college. Your hot route in college is pretty simple when you're an X, but in the NFL, when you're a slot, there's a lot more stuff you got to know. So that was the toughest for me.
What do you think, Charles?
Yeah, and kind of to echo what he said, everything that he said is so valuable. The more you can do, the more value you become. And sometimes it is hard to learn all those different positions, plays, hot routes, and all that. But if you can grasp it as a young receiver, the more value you become to your team. But for me personally, it was really the mental side of it all. We all come from college where we're the guy. Now we're coming into a position where we're just a guy, right? So that was really tough for me early on because I remember coming in Green Bay, I had a hamstring injury early. I was killing rookie minicamp. I had a hamstring injury. Then I come back for training camp. They tell me, hey, you're the 4th receiver. It's your spot to lose. But I'm just one of the guys, and I still got there and injured myself. So it's going from being the guy in college and transitioning to a guy in the NFL and still having to maintain that confidence. If you can maintain the confidence and know who you are and just grind every day, I think that's kind of what you got to kind of take hold of as a rookie receiver because it's a little different when you come into those locker rooms and you're no longer, hey, the big old guy that you were on campus at college.
Yeah, I was going to say that one too. That's a good one because the going from the guy to a guy, a lot of guys struggle with learning their place in the locker room, but you got to learn it, and that's the way you make the team. And you got to do everything. Playing special teams too. For some guys, being the number 1 guy, never had to touch the special teams field. Now you got to play a little special teams because you got to be in that 53 compared to. Got to do it for the Ron Johnson for joining me and Sam Ekstrom. Ekstrom, great job producing, great questions. We got Matt in the booth working all the cues. Thank you for that. And also, we want to thank all the fans that continue to watch, listen, download, subscribe, and comment. Let us know in the comments. Charles Johnson gave you his top 3 receivers. He told you what he thinks about Adam Thielen versus Stefon Diggs. Comment. Let us know what you think. Who are your top 3 NFL receivers? And is Stefon Diggs one of the best Vikings receivers ever? Or is Adam Thielen for sure and Justin Jefferson already passed him up because of how he left Minnesota? Let us know what you think, but have a great day.